Positive psychology is a very different way of looking at how humans operate. So traditionally in psychology, we look at what doesn't work, what's gone wrong, and we look at ways of fixing that. But positive psychology is a different paradigm. So it looks at what's working. So it will look at why are some people optimistic, why do some people have a growth mindset, why are some people resilient.
Welcome to Success Insights TV show. I'm your host, Erwin. My mission is to dissect what makes high performers, innovators, and great leaders successful. Fasten your seatbelt.
So all of the things that we've talked about already, and what are they doing that's different to the rest of the population, and how can we build and develop that?
One of the things about positive psychology is to focus more on the strength and building on that, whereas traditionally what we used to do is to focus on the problem. With that perspective, what evidence has shown?
It's a really good question. There's a lot of research around how using strengths is a more effective way than trying to shore up your weaknesses. So I'd signpost anybody listening who's interested to the first place I'd signpost them to is Penn University. So if you go to www.authentichappiness.org, there is something called the Strengths Fire Assessment, which is a character strengths assessment. So the starting point with strengths is always to identify what your strengths are. And I'm recommending Penn because it's free, and that's always great if you can get something for free in psychology. And it's one of the widest used strength psychometrics in the world, so it's well worth taking a look at. And it will benchmark your scores against the rest of the population because they want the data, but it will also tell you what your character strengths are. So out of 24 character strengths, it will rate them depending on your answers to the questions, and then your top 5 strengths are your signature strengths. So that will identify what they are, and then you can go away and have a look at the work of Martin Seligman in this area, but also have a look at Alex Lindley's work. So there's a lot of research by Alex Lindley, who is a researcher who wrote a book called From Average to A+. And I really like that book because once you've identified your strengths, I think there's always a tendency to think, well, that's really nice, but what can I do with them now? And Alex Lindley's book has chapters on things like leadership, education, learning, questions at the end of it, really guiding you in terms of how you can use those strengths. But in a nutshell, the idea with strengths is you identify what they are and then you use them to leverage your non-strengths. So let's say, for example, social intelligence is one of the VIA strengths. If that was one of your signature strengths or your top 5, you might say, okay, there are particular things that I don't like doing. So how can I use social intelligence to make myself more effective in that area, to make that easier for me to work with my strengths? So you might decide, for example, if you are working in isolation on a particular topic, then you'll try and, because social intelligence is a particular strength, you will work with other people rather than in isolation on that particular piece of work.